Welcome to the Business Collective Podcast with Terry Fletcher. Weekly conversations and insights on how to go from employee to consultant in any business field where your years of expertise can be showcased. Take your career to the next level, entrepreneurship. Now here's your host, nationally recognized healthcare consultant, speaker, and author, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business Collective Podcast. My name is Terry Fletcher. So today I wanted to talk to you about something that I really don't get a chance to talk to entrepreneurs about very often. But right now we have a lot of uncertainty in the current times. Stress levels are running high. And as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who is trying to get a business either off the ground as you're making that transition from employee to entrepreneur, or sustain a business if you've already made the transition, you need to be hyper cognizant of both your well-being and that of if you have employees as well, meaning that you need to recharge. You still need to take time off in a time of crisis. But also, when a crisis hits your business, your initial urge might be to put your nose to the grindstone. I know that's mine. And of course, you want to ensure that nothing falls through the cracks and that you're alert to any solutions that may help your business stay stable and stay afloat. But constantly keeping your nose to that grindstone, constantly worrying about it, constantly stressing, it's only really going to give you a raw nose, figuratively speaking. And it also might not be best for your company. And so I want to talk to you about this because I'm seeing a lot of, I don't want to say hate, but a lot of negativity when, let's say, our president goes and plays golf, or when I see other entrepreneurs or other business owners take a day off. And now with social media and a way to film everything that's going on, I think a lot of business owners are getting a bad rap. Because remember, in an emergency, in a pandemic, in any crisis, whether it be a hurricane, a fire, fraud, or again, a public health emergency, stress is higher than ever. And it naturally elevates the level of stress for you. And if you have employees, what your workers feel. Even if you do not work longer hours, which I'm sure you likely are, there is bound to be increased uncertainty and worry about what will happen, what could happen, and you might find that resources are far scarcer than is optimal for moving forward in your business. Now, at the same time in saying that, most true leaders, most entrepreneurs, and most business owners who are looking for that success and have that mindset understand that others are evaluating their performance through the crisis to determine whether those with authority truly deserve it. There's an enormous pressure right now to get the response right, even if the crisis is unprecedented and has no playbook for you to follow. Let's face it, we didn't know what to expect with all this was going on, and many of us have had to pivot to more digital platforms. But the effect of the stress on workers, leaders, entrepreneurs, and the general public is now well documented. We now know, for example, that it can interfere with sleep. It can elevate blood pressure and stifle your creativity. And we don't want that to happen, especially if you had momentum before the public health emergency. Now that many of us are working from home, it may be even tougher to turn your brain off when you're asleep. I don't know about you, but I feel like now I'm working 24/7, which before, working 15 hours a day, I thought was a lot. But now it just seems that during this time, I often wake up in the middle of the night remembering something that I need to do instead of just tackling it in the morning. Let's face it, nobody else is going to get it done except us. And then I'll just get up and start working. And sure enough, I woke up at 2 and now it's already 5 a.m. and I'm going to start my workday in just an hour or so. And while everyone's stress tolerance is definitely unique and different, the main point is that in times of crisis, this can be some of the most difficult when it comes to staying productive, preserving your mental and physical health. And conversely, when you take effective steps to minimize the stress you experience, you protect good decision-making, you protect your mood, you protect the ability to produce great ideas, all of which actually up the odds for you to respond to dilemmas in front of you and more appropriately instead of react. We want to respond instead of just be reactful. So how to ensure you and your team, if you have a team, can step away. So what reduces stress for people is not uniform. Anything from reading books to taking walks can work. It's not the same for everybody. So there's no need for you to conform, to a script when it comes to finding some peace. The real issue is simply being able to step confidently away from your work to do whatever activities appeal to you and not feel stressed about doing that. Not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong, or I'm sloughing off, or I'm not focusing on my business. There was something in the Harvard Business Review that I just read, and I thought it was great. And the writer, Sabina Nawaz, outlined some tips for managers and entrepreneurs to enable employees and themselves to find some balance, not only from working from home, but also as entrepreneurs are trying to build their business. And I really wanted to kind of bring some of these things to you. So the first was offered increased clarity about vacation time, certain policies, time off policies, as well as other health references, thinking about a mental health day if you have employees. And then redefining vacations so you can have family time, caregiving time, self-care time instead of travel time. You don't necessarily now have to think of, okay, I've got 2 weeks paid vacation and 1 week I'm going to spend, in Aruba, if you really want to travel right now, or, 1 week I'm just going to spend cleaning out closets. What's going to bring you something that you can disconnect from the workspace so that you can actually have that mental vacation, if you will? I don't know if you've heard of the phrase staycation. Hotels are still open. They're still open, and you can get a really good deal right now. And hotels also have their pools open, and with limited, obviously, social distancing people. I like to call it physical distancing instead of social distancing because I'm still in need of social interaction. So just, keeping responsibility there and being responsible for physical distance. But hotels are open, and they're very inexpensive right now. And you could go to one, that's not even, I'd say 20 minutes from your house and have a change of scenery, have a way that you can put your feet up and read a book, plus go down to the pool and not look at your phone, put it in a drawer, demonstrating care for your workforce, offering more flexibility, modeling behaviors. So if your workers can see you unplug and you let them know that it's okay to do that, and setting boundaries, especially if they're working from home, tell them you do not want to see them on the computer after 5:30, whatever your time periods are, and you're not going to text them about work issues after a certain time either. You should also put your phone on silent. I do it. I make sure that from 10 o'clock at night until 7:45 in the morning, unless you are a family member that's on my emergency list, you can't get a hold of me, because I have a lot of East Coast clients and I'm on the West Coast. And I would be taking calls from 4 a.m. all the way till midnight, and I have to make sure that there's boundaries. And then changing durations. This is a big one. Frequent short breaks instead of sporadic long ones, as higher stress requires more frequent recuperation. So try to take short breaks, not only throughout the day, but also during the week. I mentioned in one of my other podcasts that I started taking Fridays off. Well, that worked for about a month, but I'm trying to take at least every other Friday off. But I also try to take certain days. Remember, you own your business. And even though the work needs to get done, and I would never talk about, just thinking that you don't have to go to work, but think about certain things. Come in early one day and take off by, let's say, 1 or 2 o'clock. If you have a beach near you, if you have a park, if you have something in nature, take it off and just grab yourself an iced tea, grab yourself something to drink, and just go, sit in and just be in awe of nature. Sit and watch the waves, put your feet in the sand. We're in August. It's hot out there. Do something that you're in the shade even. A lot of places are only closed for large gatherings. They're not closed for single people or people that have under, let's say 10 people in their pack of people that they're going to do stuff with. And so in their group, I was trying to remember the name, but just really taking those short breaks, taking a little bit of time off the midweek. And you'll feel guilty at first. You will. I won't get you, I won't lie to you about that. But just this week, I took off on a Tuesday. I took off at 1 o'clock, wanted to go and get an appointment done because a place finally opened up. Yes, I will say it. I got my manicure and pedicure. And then I thought, I need to go back to my office, but I let my car drive me home. I went home. Before that, I grabbed my Starbucks iced tea and I sat out on my deck and grabbed my book that I wanted to read. I have shade out there. I live on a golf course. And I spent 2 hours just reading something that had nothing to do with work. Did I have a ton of work? Did I need to record 7 different webinars, 2 podcasts, etc.? Yes. But you know what? I'm doing it today. I've reset. I felt like I was able to sleep better too because I got that break in. I wasn't going to bed stressed. So think about that and frequent shorter breaks. Activating your team and asking them to cover for each other. If you have employees or you have people within your business that you've started that are helping, try to cover for each other and ask everyone to help each other get a break. You need that break. Of course, this is only a start. So you might also try some automation for things as well that allow you to focus more efficiently in completing tasks instead of just doing them manually. And have a well thought out, comprehensive disaster recovery or emergency plan in place. This will naturally eliminate some of the kinks that would likely occur if this continues or happens again that you didn't have in advance. And everybody, I'm telling them to do that. Also, one of the other things you might want to create, and this is hard for some entrepreneurs, but I've opened up a service and it's the eSuite. You can find it on my website. And basically, if you need somebody in the, CEO, CFO, etc., you can find that virtually. And I've recommended that people also get a virtual health director, just somebody that gathers the information on, can we open now? What is the safest way to do this? And knows what the CDC is saying, knows what the World Health Organization is saying, knows what Medicare is saying if you fall into healthcare. Even if you don't, you have to be safe and use certain precautions if you've got a brick and mortar store, if you're doing shipping or anything like that. So there's certain things that will also take the stress off you and help you take some time off knowing that that's handled. But also it's important to remember that the unexpected, that is the hallmark of a crisis. Trying to anticipate every scenario is impossible, and that will really only make the stress of a situation worse. So do your best to focus on only the risks most likely to materialize. And researchers and data analysts are your friends for this purpose. But lastly, as you prepare for and work through the crisis that we're in, realize that you have a rare opportunity to reassess your larger business industry and cultural systems. For instance, increased days of paid leave you can make breaks economically easier to take, and abandoning the concept of specific work shifts, basically traditional work shifts, in favor of maybe trying to do some kind of a flexible work system. It can help your team, it can help you feel more refreshed throughout the day. A crisis is not the time for you to basically take cover. What you're looking to do from a cool head and not be on call 24/7 is shift your mindset to view taking breaks as an essential part of your response and ensure your team and yourself and anyone that you're doing business with can actually log off when needed, especially when it's so easy to stay connected and constantly logged on now that so many of us are working remote. It's hard to turn it off. But looking at your everyday and systemic operations, look at that in multidimensional, interpersonal connection, critical way to help you restructure what holds you back from encouraging and taking stress-relieving time off when it is needed most. We are in a high-stress situation, a high-stress level of everything going on. It's an election year. We have all kinds of things happening. I know many of you, just like myself, can't wait till November 4th, the day after the election. Maybe things will settle down. But just in this time of high stress, take the time to take time off. It's going to make you a better entrepreneur. It's going to make you a better leader. And it's going to make your business much better because you can have a clearer head, which will allow you to have better focus. All right, everyone, make it a great day and a great week. And thank you for listening to the Business Collective podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Business Collective podcast. Drop us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website and blog at www.business-collective.com.